guys, Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video, guys. I'm glad to have you here. Taking a little bit of time out of your day, talk some Raid Shadow Legends with yours truly. Today we got an exciting rare champion to talk about. The hype is really, really high on this champ. Is he going to let us down? Is he going to live up to it? Stay tuned and find out. First off, I have to thank you guys for all the book recommendations. Man, oh man, oh man. I found myself screenshotting like 40 comments, I want to say, out of the video. I think it was PvE versus PvP build video that we did, kind of a strategy guide, how to build champions, blah, blah, blah. In case you missed it, link in the description below. But I asked you guys, I'm feeling some historical fiction or something from like the medieval time period. I'm into kind of gritty stuff. I don't really like young adult type genre. No offense to those of you who do, just my thing. As dark as possible, as gritty as possible. In my deep, twisted, demented soul, deep down, I guess. I don't know. Also, quickly on TV, I mentioned that I started on Netflix Last Kingdom. It's kind of an oldish show. It's been around for like 5 years, I want to say. I'm 2 episodes in. So far, so good, but TBD if I'm going to stick with it through the long haul. If you're anything like me, sometimes you need a little bit of time to see if something's really going to sink in, and giving these shows like 4 or 5 or 6 episodes is sometimes required before you judge them. Last but not least, I watched Mulholland Drive for the first time, that movie of 2001. Boy, I'm still trying to wrap my head around that movie. Very, very interesting to say the least. Not sure how I feel about it, but I did have to YouTube. You ever do this? You ever watch a movie and then afterwards you have to YouTube like, okay, what did it mean? Explained? You know, Mulholland Drive explained. But I think I had to rewatch it. But anyway, guys, let's talk about this rare champion today. Let's talk about my man. I wanted to be honest with you guys too and give credit where credit is due. I saw Shadowbow Tirlac, right? I saw Murderinc, who doesn't really do videos about rare champions. He says this at the beginning of the video too. He's like, dude, that's right. I'm doing a video on a rare champion. He calls him, this new rare is like cheating a new godly rare in Shadowbow. So that got my attention. I'm like, wait a second here. Godly rare? Like cheating? Wait a second here. How good is this dude?
I've never felt like I was anyone's bro before. The only people who have used that term with me were assailants.
When I first saw him, he was part of the Oella fusion. When I first saw him, I thought like mediocre kit. I'm going to be honest with you guys. But then I watched Murder's video on him, started to read some other reviews on this champion. I started to think about how I could use this champion, and the thought kind of occurred to me. I don't want to spoil the ending, but the thought occurred to me that he might be just one of the best rares they've released in years in Raid Shadow Legends. So let's talk about him. On his A1, Shadowbow. It's a defense-based champion. Defense scaling on all the damage, excuse me. We have the weak version of decreased attack on the A1, 50% land rate. Really nothing to write home about there, other than it's nice to have decreased attack if you don't have it already on the team for like the Red Boss and Faction Wars once it's ever released. On the A2, Swift Warband. Attacks all enemies, 3-turn cooldown, weak version of increased speed on all allies for 2 turns. Again, in my pea-sized brain, I originally was thinking, okay, Faction Wars, you know? If I don't have an increased speed champion, now I have one, albeit the weak version doesn't really impress me. A3, Diversion. These are, by the way, my first thoughts, okay? Diversion, his A3 on a 4-turn cooldown, places a Veil on all allies except this champion for 1 turn. Obviously, Veil comes with it, a 7.5 damage mitigation from AoE attacks, and on single target attacks, only Shadowbow will be able to be targeted. Now, the downside here is it's only 1 turn on a 4-turn cooldown, but it is an AoE Veil, which is very hard to find from a rare champion, to say the least. It's hard to find from epic champions. Place a shield buff on all allies for 2 turns, equal to 20% of this champion's max HP. We've said it a billion times here on the channel, but this champion's max HP is what we're looking for. Whether it's a shield or a heal, we want it to be based on this champion because we can dictate how much HP that one champion has, and it will be spread around to all allies. So that's good news. A good shield and a veil and damage mitigation, but it keeps going. We have more damage mitigation on camo cover. Decrease the damage received from skills by all allies under Veil or Perfect Veil by 5%. You guys know how much I love and how underrated I think damage mitigation on passives are in this game. It is just built in, always existing, extra damage mitigation that really does add up, especially if you can get a couple of these champions on the same team. So again, 5% might not sound like much, but added on to the already 7.5% of the Veil to begin with, that's, not bad for a passive, especially again on a rare champion. The fact that he's defense based at 1233 base defense, he's a hardy character. He's not going to be one shot like a lot of rares out there in the game. Bad news is his HP at 15k isn't anything to write home about, considering we really want to scale this up as much as possible to get more bang for our buck out of that shield ability. Again, I want to give credit where credit is due. Murder had a very interesting slow build on this champion that struck me as odd. I'm not too proud to say at first, right? Why would we want to build him super slow when he has the Veil already on a 4-turn cooldown? Why would you want to have him super slow when he has an AoE attack with an increased speed? Wouldn't we want that up all the time?
I don't expect everybody to understand.
I actually saw somebody initially in the comments of his video. Let me pull it up real quick. All right, it was this guy, Jonathan Jeffrey, in the comments of Murder's video. What your reasoning for making him slow is because of the Veil is only for 1 turn, somehow implying that if he is slow, the Veil will last longer, but he doesn't have the Veil, so it's a moot point. So what is the point of the video at all? He places a weak speed buff, a weak attack buff, a 1-turn Veil, and a weak shield at a 5% damage reduction. Making him slow makes him worse, if anything. Did I miss something here? I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. I mean, I wasn't as direct in my brain as Jonathan was, but I kind of thought the same thing. Like, why are we making him so slow here, Murderinc? But he says you make him slow because he puts the Veil up after everyone on your team gets a turn. And then he uses the support tree Masteries to gain turn meter back to cycle with the rest of your team. The Veil's buff being 1-turn boost in the, the Veil's buff being on 1 turn boosts the turn meter factor, and it staggers with its increased speed on a 2-turn, keeping the Mastery with a high chance of proccing consistently. This lets you not need speed boots and let you utilize his buffs before the enemies take a turn. All mobs in PvE in the game are based are base speed as well, so he'll get a turn before they go. So you don't need to focus on speed. I was like, you know what? That's a very, very solid response there. And it kind of clicked, I'm like, wait a second. And I feel like we could go in and even further optimize that on this champion. So let's go ahead and take a look at this dude. Take a look at how I built him here, guys. We already talked about his skills. In terms of blessings on this champion, obviously I do not have him awakened. He is a rare, so they're somewhat limited. I'd probably go Dark Resolve personally, have a chance of blocking Freeze, Provoke, and True Fear on this champion, a little bit extra HP. That would be my choice on Shadowbow. But the cool thing is again, we haven't fully booked out here. I would say he's a champion that you want to book out. The bad news is that rare books are still hard to find in this game.
Sir, if you have a complaint, I suggest you submit it through our email system. I would be happy to refer you to our website. No.
The good news is it goes right to cooldown on the A3. It goes right to cooldown, or at least 2 out of 4 on the A2. That's pretty solid there. Bad news is we get a lot of damage on that A1. But Masteries on the champion, I want to do with you guys. I want to fill out those Masteries because, again, I want to take advantage. That's why I led with, usually I lead with the build and we talk about stuff like that. But I actually wanted to lead with that comment in the Murder video because I thought it was a very interesting topic to discuss with you guys. And first and foremost, I guess before we get to that, I will say that this dude in a stun set makes him viable for all those Doom Tower secret rooms, right? All those Doom Tower spirit-only hard secret rooms, those are a pain, man. They're very difficult, some of the most challenging content in all of Raid Shadow Legends. And my man here is protecting the team. He's got the shield, he's got the Veil, he's got the increased speed, he's got the AoE with the stun set, he's got the damage mitigation, he's got the decreased attack. He's bringing a lot to the table, right? So I put him in a stun and I put him in a stone skin, 2-piece, 8% HP, 40 resistance. I think that's a pretty badass 2-piece set, if you will, and you can only run. I've said this before, but if you're in doubt, if you want to run a broken set on a champion, why not go with a 1-piece stone skin? Or a 2-piece at that, or a 3-piece even. You're getting a lot of stats here. The HP, the defense, the resistance, don't overlook that. It's so nice off one artifact to get the 8% HP, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and pick out his Masteries. So, very interesting champion. What I think we want to do here is go defense and support on this champion. So for me, for tier 6 masteries, we have a couple options. I think Murder went with Elixir of Life to maximize, again, that HP. Don't quote me on that, but I will link his video. But for me, I was thinking about Timely Intervention. Increase this champion's turn meter by 20% whenever an ally hero drops below 25% HP. I really like that idea because, again, taking advantage of turn meter boost off of our masteries, Timely Intervention and Rapid Response are going to be the most important masteries for this use case to get HP percentage on his boots. That gives us a 30% chance of increasing the turn meter by 10% when a buff cast by this champion is removed or expires, okay? So let's go ahead and use all my gems. Obviously, if you want to get a little bit of damage, maybe your early game with this champion, you want to get some damage out of him too. I think there's nothing wrong with going offense and support, coming down and picking up War Master as a tier 6 option, basically hugging the left-hand side. That's another choice for you guys, but I want to go in with Blast Proof, decrease damage received from AoE attacks by 5%. Keep in mind, again, we're going defense here because he's a defense-based champion. Let's just keep stacking as much as we can. Resurgent, one of my favorite masteries on the defense tree. Never sleep on this one. A 50% chance to remove a random debuff from this champion when they lose 25% of their max HP from one single enemy skill is unbelievably strong. It took me a while playing this game, maybe a year into playing this game back in 2019, before I realized, oh my gosh, Resurgent is OP, right? 50% chance to remove a buff, and oftentimes you're losing 25% of your max HP. Okay, so let's go down to Delay Death. Because he has a stun set on, we always want to pick up Harvest Despair. We love Harvest Despair on stun set champions, okay? When placing stun, not casting off of only skills, placing off of an artifact set works as well. So let's pick up Harvest Despair because of the stun set on him again. Retribution, more counterattacks, more decrease attack off that A1. And then I want to wait a little bit to decide if we want to go with Fearsome Presence, increase the chance of placing that stun off of the stun set, or do we want to go instead with Timely Intervention, or do we just want to go with the extra Elixir of Life? Let's go in, obviously starting with the extra HP. 810 HP from a tier 1 mastery is incredible. He's not healing, but he certainly is shielding, so we're going to get that shield bearer, right? We're going to come down here. This increases the value of shield on Healing Savior. I already expressed the importance of rapid response to get his turn meter boosted. And then because he's placing the Veil, he's placing the shield, he's placing the increased speed, right? 3 buffs out of this rare champion. Merciful Aid, again, I think we're going to go ahead. What do we have on him? We have a stun set and Stone Skin, so we're not going to pick up Lord of Steel. Instead, I think we'll go with the shield on Merciful Aid, right? Nothing wrong with going Cycle of Magic as well. And then we'll go with Lasting Gifts, extend the duration of any of his debuffs, and I think just to optimize the turn meter, Oppressor's kind of interesting too. Increase the turn meter fill rate by 2.5 for each active debuff.
What am I supposed to do with this?
Okay, no, it's not interesting for this champion. My bad. I forgot it was predicated on debuffs, not buffs. Let's go with the Timely Intervention. Let's try that, guys. Let's try it. Again, if I don't like what I see from Timely Intervention, I will switch to Fearsome Presence, bump that 18% on the stun set to a 23% on the stun set. Keep in mind, guys, the only need for accuracy on this champion is the decreased attack on the A1. Ergo, I'm just going to ignore the decreased accuracy. I'm going to ignore the accuracy, on this champion because the weak version of decreased attack at a smallish land rate, what was it, 40-50% on the A1? It's not going to be enough to build accuracy on this champion, at least for me. So this is going to be the build. Let's finish things off here. I think just going with some deterrence would be fine. If anybody gets CC, he'll counterattack. And then here, obviously, I think I'll get the heal. Exalt in Death. I think I'll take the heal. All right, so there it is, guys. Those are the masteries we're going to go with. I really enjoy this build. Look at the total stats here, 71k. That's a lot of HP considering it scales from 15k. We get 3,100 on the defense, 156, a nice slow build here, really fun. And then again, accuracy, we're ignoring a little bit of resist, sure. Crit rate, crit damage, we're not super concerned about. This is a control and support champion. So obviously he's going to be a beast in Secret Rooms. He's going to be a beast in control and anywhere that you want to use him. Doom Tower Waves, obviously, Secret Rooms, and Faction Wars, right? So HP percentage on the boots, and I got the Ascension HP percentage too, so I went for it. I used all of it. It's only 5 stars, so it cost me a little bit less, but boy, It's a big drop off from 20% to 13% too on that bonus when it's fully done, you know? Anyway, we went HP percentage obviously on the chest as well, and HP percentage on the gauntlets as well. So HP again. If you want a little bit of damage, his multipliers, let me pull up hellhades.com really quickly here. He gives, let's see, multipliers are going to be a 3.4 on the A1 based on defense, a 3.6 on the A2. Average multipliers on this champion. I'm really not looking for a lot of damage from this dude. I think it would be, I don't want to say a mistake. It depends on the champions around him, how you're using him, the team around him. But I think that going with crit rate and crit damage and building him for a lot of damage, I think you're probably maybe misusing the champion a bit, right? He's a support beast and a control beast too in that stun set. So HP. Getting more out of that shield, more survivability. I will point out, though, and I always say this here on the channel, don't just neglect defense. He's a defense-based champion. Plus, you know, there are enemy skills out there that ignore defense, right? So we need the HP, but there's a lot of enemy skills that don't ignore defense. So having a little bit of defense is great, too. So I don't want to totally neglect it. I think there's nothing wrong with going with, you know, defense percentage on one of these three artifacts, or going defense, as I'm showing you right now, on one of my accessories. So I went HP, and defense with a double defense roll on the ring, and that is the total build, guys. Let's go ahead and give my man a try. I have not tried him out yet. I'm going to try him in more areas on my champion guide channel as well. I'll let you guys vote for the champions that I use there, or the champions that I build there. Let me see if I can find a Doom Tower room for him, or something. I'll be right back. All right, guys, we're gonna rock Ice Golem 20 with an all-rare team. We got my man Ash Walker. Let me just make sure he has gear on him here. He does, kinda. Does he? Is he fully geared? Oof, you guys ever do this? This is the laziest thing you can possibly do in this game, but you ever go in with it's just a key battle? And you just go in, you cancel right away to tell you if there's anybody without gear?
So, do you like weather?
And the pop-up didn't come, so I guess they all have gear on right now. So we're going Executioner, Khazar, Deepheart, Reliquary Tender, Shadowbow, and Ash Walker. Let's see how this team does. I did not like pre-run this or anything, but I just want to see, you know, how we do in terms of support. Obviously, we have a Relentless set. As you can see, Reliquary Tender taking a couple turns. You can see nice turn meter control there. Now we have the, watch this turn meter here, right? Obviously, the tier 6 mastery, timely intervention, not going to come into play on this wave, but that next wave is kind of tough on Ice Golem, so I want to see how that does. And obviously we're going to take into consideration the Ice Golem himself as well. I gotta say, guys, I went through the whole gamut here. Not bad damage too there. I went through the whole gamut of emotions on this champion. When I saw everybody hyping this dude up, and I got so many requests here on the channel to do a guide on him as well when he came out, right? I think there was a few content creators that did test server stuff on him. I've never made a test server video, but one of these days I will. I just like to wait till I actually have him on my account, but it's good content for you guys to cover it ahead of time. And you can see this, the power of the stun set. You see this? 1, 2, 3 stuns, 4 stuns. Let's make it 5. Come on, Terror Beast. Go down. We do have a reviver on this squad. Look at the veils, right? Not bad. Got that damage mitigation. Everything's looking good. Got the shields, too. We do lose our man there because of the reflect damage. Nothing we could do about that, but we pick him right back up. Anyway, so initially, whenever we was hyping this champion up, I thought to myself, dude, am I missing something here? He doesn't seem that good, right? But just being a defense-based champion with decent stats to start with, right? We don't get that out of rares anymore. I think it's been since, am I mistaken in saying that it's been since Frozen Banshee that I've been even semi-excited about a rare champion that could actually help people out in this game? I don't know, man. There's that one Odichai or Odichi, that one Shadowkin champion. There's been maybe a couple others. I'm a big fan of like Gear Grinder. I think Abyssal is good for control on the AoE on the A1. But I don't think those champions have the type of versatility that we're seeing out of this champ. I mean, this guy, right? I mean, look what he's doing. Again, the increased speed, it's the weak version. But nobody else on this squad has it, right? So at least we have it, you know? He's got that shield, which is really helpful, not just against the Ice Golem, but against any boss, right? Just keeping people alive. He's got that veil, damage mitigation on those big, strong AoE attacks, such as, again, the Ice Golem here. And then he has the decreased attack as well. So I feel like that passive too, I don't want to sleep on the sea. We're getting an extra 5% damage mitigation. It's only 5%, not trying to overstate it, but we're getting that too every time somebody's under a veil. And I have to say, we haven't really used the timely intervention at all because this team is staying alive. But if it was a higher level, maybe, right? Or if he was with a better team around him that I could tackle like hard dungeons, perhaps a defense-based rare would be a little bit easier to keep him alive. The one thing that's different between him and like a Frozen Banshee, a Cold Tart, and really S-tier rare champion is that they have clear niches where they're better than almost every other champion out there in the game, right? And I'm not sure that he has those niches, but I would put him on the level of maybe an Executioner, perhaps a little bit better, perhaps a little bit worse, but a really, really solid rare champion that's a beast for control, but brings a heck of a lot more to the table as well. And I have to say, I'm starting to agree with you guys. I think he might be one of the best champions we've seen here added to the game rares in a long, long time.
You could just say thank you.
That speaks to two things. Number one, he's a pretty dang good champion. A lot of people can take advantage of him. Number two is, boy, they don't release very many good rares anymore. You know, I feel like epics are the new rares in this game. But either way, I'm not trying to overhype him per se. I certainly don't think he needs a nerf or he's like broken and going to, you know, break the game or anything like that. But I think that this is the type of rare I would love to see Plarium release more often into the game, right? A rare that can really give you some viability, some utility. And I have to say, the slow build is not too bad, right? I kind of like the slow build and then go with, again, rapid response. 30% chance of increasing the turn meter by 10% when a buff cast by this champion is removed or expires. So obviously that's when all those shields strip off. We're getting the 40% or potentially up to a 40%. Not that that's going to happen very often, but we get that turn meter boost. And here, things are getting a little dicey here at the end. We could really use those heals, Reliquary. There you go. There you go. A new guide on Reliquary Tender coming through at you guys soon, too. And that's a nice beefy shield. 20% of his max HP. You know, we're looking at like 15k-ish on that shield. Nice to have, right? We're stunning the minions as well with that stun set. And there we go. I think we're going to pull this off here, guys. And again, it's only Ice Golem 20, but it is an all-rare team, you know? And it's not like they're in God-tier gear. They're in decent gear, don't get me wrong. And I did have some Ascension on Shadowbow, but he's really the only one. All these are just random stun sets on Khazard, random stun set on Executioner, random stun set on Ashwalker. You can tell I'm a big fan of running stun sets on these champions. When you have the power of 3 or 4 champions with AoE attacks in a stun set with Fearsome Presence added to that, well, you can see it's very effective for getting through. Granted, this is an Ice Golem run, and I've been blabbing my head off for 5 minutes now. You guys, I could have just let you go. But hey, just chilling with you guys for a little bit, right?
Let's go, son.
You can use him in Doom Tower, right? Just on a random floor of Doom Tower as a control and support champion. I feel like he's a really, really cool dude. And especially when Faction Wars comes out, he's going to help out a lot of players. All right, guys, I'll come back to you when we finally kill this Ice Golem, which is probably going to be in like 20 seconds. Be right back. All right, guys, he's down. And I'm just thinking to myself, too, before we end the video, again, his damage, he's not built for damage. So we're not really looking at the scorecard here at the end. But if you guys are curious, Execution putting out 2.5 million damage, dude. I just did a guide on him on the Raid Champion Guides channel as well, if you want to see that and you want to see his build. But it struck me that we didn't talk about, we said the best rare since Reliquary Tender. I stand corrected. It's definitely Khazard who came out after, I said Reliquary Tender, I meant Frozen Banshee. Best rare since Frozen Banshee. Khazard came out after her, and I think that he's just as good as her, personally. So maybe the best rare since Khazard. You guys can let me know how you think about this new champion. But either way, let's end the video. We've rambled long enough, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you guys watching till the end. And as always, take care, guys.